No matter who you are or where you grow, growing vegetables always poses some degree of difficulty. But not having a place to grow at all has to be the ultimate roadblock. With the advent of container gardening, no longer are we constrained to expensive and sometimes unattainable plots of land. Enter the patio garden. Once reserved for maybe a flower pot or two, creative deck dwellers are now growing a relative cornucopia of fruit and veggies in record abundance. I, for one, love it because container gardening is my jam. And even with unlimited space, I'll always be growing on a deck somewhere. So with that said, let's look at my top 10 list of fruits and veggies that you can be growing on your patio right now. All patio crops have one thing in common, and that's that they make great container plants. Meaning that they all excel in the confines of a pot or container necessary for life on the deck. Having said that, the reverse isn't true. Not all great container plants make great patio plants. This is because conditions on a patio are vastly different than those out in the garden. Greater exposure leads to more temperature extremes, and wind is often magnitudes higher on the deck than it is at garden level. And the sun-shade dichotomy is a whole other bag of tricks when you're growing this close to a structure, such as your house or apartment. Taking that into consideration, I've picked out 10 plants that excel in these parameters, allowing us patio growers to enjoy just as much bounty as the next guy. Number 1 on our list is tomatoes. Pretty obvious choice. Might as well check it off first. Tomatoes are the ultimate patio vegetable, checking off all the boxes for tolerance. As long as you can give them enough sun, say 6 to 8 hours a day, and you can manage the moisture levels during the heat of summer, patio tomatoes will reward you time and time again with seemingly endless bounty. Next on that top 10 list is the tomato's close cousin, the pepper plant. And much the same as tomatoes, give these guys a big pot, as big as you can go. Water regularly, and for heavy production, make sure to liquid feed at least twice over the growing cycle. Once early on, and once again when flowering starts. All varieties can be grown, but the smaller ones really seem to excel as deck growers. At number 3, we have peas. Sugar, snap, and snow peas are a crazy fast crop that in the sheltered conditions of some patios can actually be planted up to 3 times a year. For best results, keep peas away from extreme heat and make sure to have some sort of vertical support early on because these guys grow fast. Spacing is around 4 inches apart, so even a moderate sized pot can grow a couple vines of peas. Eating peas off the deck nearly year round is definitely something special. What you eating, buddy? At number 4, we have our first root veggie, and that's beets. Beets make fantastic container plants. And while I've got to thin this guy out like yesterday, they're relatively maintenance free. Not only that, they can take a little bit of shade if need be, and can also be grown quite easily during the cooler months of the year. When other summer plants are beginning to fail. Ensure at least 8 to 10 inches of soil depth and keep moist but well drained. Try to time your beets for a fall harvest as they're much sweeter when exposed to a week or so of cooler weather. Another popular root crop that many people don't know that you can grow in containers, let alone on your patio, is carrots. Carrots make great container plants, and with their highly resilient foliage, life on the patio is a cakewalk for these guys. Thin them shortly after sprouting, or if you're like me, use selective harvesting to do the thinning for you. Ensure at least a foot of soil depth, and like beets, keep your carrots moist but well drained. And the final root crop on our top 10 list of patio plants has got to be onions. These awesome alliums are built for patio life with thin, wind-resistant foliage, tough exterior bulbs, and shallow, undemanding root systems. Try to give them about 6 inches of space apart, use a moderately deep pot, and just use a regular potting mix. That's all they need. For an added bonus, try growing some green onions as well, either by seed or simply by rooting the cut ends from some that you bought at the grocery store. Awesome. At number 7, we have the only brassica on the list with kale. After having difficulties with the relative lushness of lettuce and other similar soft greens, kale was a welcome addition to my patio palette. Tougher wind-resistant leaves, a tolerance for shade, and massively prolific make kale an excellent choice for the modern deck gardener. Oh man, and no patio is complete without strawberries. As the ultimate summer fruit, these guys are pretty much the only berry that I consider growing on a patio. They're just built for container life, and nearly everyone that stops by comments on how crazy prolific the plants are. If you're stuck for space and you had to choose one single crop to grow on your deck, make it strawberries. Super easy to grow and relatively low maintenance. Oddly enough, strawberries also have the distinction of being the only perennial on the list, coming back year after year with no extra effort on your part. You are going to want to replant or replace your strawberries after about 5 years as the plants outgrow their digs. A small price to pay for near infinite bounty. At number 9, we got a big one, literally, and that's zucchinis. If you wanted to impress someone visiting your deck garden, make sure to include one of these guys. Massive plants with massive harvests. Summer squash will excel in almost any patio situation. They do need at least 6 to 8 hours of full sun, but with these large flat leaves, they'll have no trouble going and getting it. Also, the increased exposure and air circulation is just perfect for these guys, and you'll find that zucchinis are one of the better patio producers. Finally, after a plethora of plants, we come to the final one on our top 10 list of prolific patio producers, garlic. An excellent container choice that is probably the easiest to grow, garlic is a flavor favorite with few rivals. Grown over the winter months, this undemanding allium takes advantage of unused space in the off-season, allowing you to reach your deck's full production potential. Give the garlic at least 4 inches of space between the cloves when planting, and at least 6 inches of soil depth to allow the roots to fully stretch their legs. As plants on your deck begin to wind down towards the end of summer, look to plant your patio garlic around 6 to 8 weeks before your first fall frost. On the surface, patio gardening may feel advanced, but when you get down to the fundamentals, it's just plant growing 101. Figure out your space, light, and water requirements, and then work from there. Let's go ahead and recap all 10 plants on the list, as well as some patio growing tips to ensure your success. And while we do that, I'm going to go ahead and clean up and replant this 2x2 deck planter with some delicious Walla Walla onions. Like we mentioned, growing on a deck poses some unique issues for plants. Increased wind, exposure, and temperature extremes are to be expected. And I'll repeat it again in case you missed it. All patio plants make great container crops, but not all great container crops are suitable for life on the patio. You gotta be aware of a plant's likes dislikes, growth habits, and minimum requirements. Your biggest obstacles on a patio are going to be shade from the adjacent building, watering, extreme heat, and the increased wind. Crops can and will dry out quite quickly on a deck, especially if they're root bound or if they're planted in too small of a container. Also remember that with the increased waterings of patio plants, their soils become less nutritious with each and every flushing. Add those nutrients back in by using dilute liquid boosters once or twice during the growing cycle. And you gotta mulch well, even in small containers. You need to mitigate the moisture loss as well as those temperature extremes. Remember, the list of fantastic patio crops doesn't end with these 10 plants. Get creative. Don't let space issues affect your growing enthusiasm. If you have access to even a little patch of sun, scratch that gardening itch and plan for some patio bounty in the near future. Hey, thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate the support more than you know. And if you're getting value from these videos, please like and share them to spread the word and help your fellow gardener to grow better.